Hello there. My name is Olatunji Shobodu, and you are welcome to Leadership in 30 Minutes. Leadership in 30 Minutes. Have you been having challenges as a leader getting strong commitment from your people? Have you wondered why that may be the reason? Well, I want to share with you something today. It's strange, but it is true. And indeed, it is very, very powerful. Very powerful. It's simple, it's strange, it's true, but it's very powerful. Today, I'm speaking on the topic asking to lead. Asking to lead. Didn't get their commitment, then maybe you didn't ask the right way. Maybe you didn't ask the right way. But you may wonder, why should a leader ask the people to follow? Why do you want to make it that formal? I mean, I thought they know that I've been appointed as the head, and so they should commit to me. All right, they should defer to me, they should give me that privilege. Well, that may be true. However, there's something that I found, and I believe that it is a secret, it's a mystery. And if it could happen in the context that we're going to examine, then you better pay attention to it. You better pay attention to it. It's humbling to ask the leader, or to expect the leader to ask that those over whom he has been given responsibility should follow. But guess what? A leader needs legitimacy in that role. And that legitimacy comes by having people who are following. And having people who are committed to you is different from just people, who are members of your team. So you can have people who may be following, but they are not following. That is, they are members of the team, they acknowledge you as the leader, but they are not committed to you. They are not committed to you. That's not the kind of leader that you want to be. That's not the kind of team that you want to lead. You want to lead a team of people who will be strongly committed to you as a leader, to your agenda, and to helping you accomplish your mandate, which has them primarily as your focus. Which has them primarily as your focus. All right, so every leader needs followers. You need strong, committed followers. Without them, you can't succeed in your assignment. It's impossible for a leader to be effective, to succeed in the true assignment of leadership without securing the strong commitment of his people, and indeed sustaining that commitment. Because leadership is a journey. It's a journey that the leader is taking the followers somewhere. And so you need them to stay committed from the beginning to the end. From the beginning to the end. Okay? So, if you lack followers, what do? If you are not getting the strong commitment, what do you do? Now, chances are that what I'm about to talk about, you haven't done something like that before. You probably never considered it. And if somebody suggested it to you, you may well be thinking, are you serious? Are you in your right mind? But I'm going to suggest it to you. And I have a platform for doing that. And you better take it seriously, because it can change your leadership experience. It can take you to a place in this leadership assignment, where you become effective beyond your own expectations, your own imaginations. I love the fact, that you see, if you look at, I think it's James chapter 1, and, the writer was saying something there. He said, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask. If any man lack wisdom, let him ask. Let me add to that, the scripture in Matthew 7 and verse 7. And you may want to add verse 8 as well. And you also find that, I believe, in Luke 11 or 6, both Luke 6 and 11. Now, it says, ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and to you the door shall be open. And then it goes further and it says, anyone that asks receives. Anyone that seeks receives. Anyone who knocks, to him the door will be open. A blank check, if you like. Now that statement is so simple. In fact, it's so simple that you and I will be tempted to ask, wait, it can't be that simple. I mean, it can't be that simple. You can't just receive by asking. You can't just find by seeking. You can't just, walk through the door, all right, by knocking. And it then says anyone, meaning that is a blank check for everyone. Or perhaps is a blank check for everyone who cares and dares to believe. And I want to challenge you, not just to care about that statement, but you better believe it because it works. The one who made that statement does not fail. That principle is a principle of life. It works. It has worked in my experience. It will work in yours because principles have no respect for people. If you do what I did, it will work for you. If I do what you did, it will work for me. That's how principle, that's the beauty of principles. That's why I love principles. That's why I always advocate that people anchor their lives to principles. It's building your life on a strong foundation, where you know how things will fall and where you are in control to determine the outcomes of your life. You know the levers to pull to make things happen. That's the beauty about principles. And this is a principle. Ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and to you the door will be open. He said, and anyone, whosoever would ask will receive. So you see, that second statement went ahead to make it very clear that this provision, this principle is not for any special person. If you believe it and you take steps to demonstrate your faith in that principle, it will work for you. It will work for you. So let's not get very religious or duly spiritual about it. It works. It works. And you can try it. And guess what? When you look at that principle, it's not even boxed into a corner in the sense that it only works on issues like this. It only works on days like this. It only works with people like this. No, sir. No, man. It works. And I love that. It works. And guess what? Jesus, as the foremost leader, the role model leader, engaged that principle. He engaged the principle. He engaged the principle. Now, I mean, I need not tell you who he is, but imagine him asking people to follow him. He did ask. The leader of leaders asked. He asked, and I can show you, Matthew 4 and verse 19. He said to Peter and his brother, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." If that is not asking, what is it? Did he need to ask? But he did. That means it's important that a leader should ask the people to follow. You need to have that discussion. It may sound strange, but never take following for granted. Never assume that because you have been announced the head, the GM, the director, whatever, that the people must follow you. All right? They can submit to you because of your authority. All right? They can even do the work you ask them to do. But guess what? They must consciously take the decision to commit to you. And that's what you need. You don't need people just obeying instructions because of your power or authority. You don't need people following you out of sympathy. You need people to follow you as a leader, a credible leader, out of conviction and commitment and respect. And how do you gain that? You ask. Now, try asking. You haven't even done that before. I am almost sure that the average person has not done this before. The typical leader believes, now that I have been designated as the head of this team, everybody knows who is in charge. They know that the buck stops on my table. Okay, sir. Okay, ma. A big deal. So the buck stops on your table, and so what? Does that mean that the people therefore will commit to you in the true sense of commitment? And I always insist, until people submit wholeheartedly, until they strongly commit to you, until they express faith in your leadership, you cannot influence them. And if you can't influence them, you can't change them. You can't make them into anything. And by the way, look at what Jesus said there in Matthew 4:19. He said, "Follow me, and I will make you." Guess what? It wasn't a command. It wasn't a command by all means. He was asking. Why was it not a command? Because the people have the choice to either accept or to decline. Now, when a command is given by somebody in authority and he really wants to use his power, that can be the case. You don't have a choice. But the reason he put that was that he understood that they have a choice. In fact, at some point, somewhere during the course of his journey, he asked some people to follow him, and they began to give him excuses. Okay, sir, I'm coming, but let me go and, attend to my dead. And he had to say, look, follow me. Let the dead bury their dead. But he didn't compel them to follow. He didn't compel them to follow. And because, by the way, if they don't follow, it gives you a sense that they're not willing to commit. All right? That they're not willing to commit. By the way, my name is Olatunji Shobodo. I got so carried away with the subject matter, and I just got in. And this is Leadership in 30 Minutes. Leadership in 30 minutes. And here we discuss very instructive issues about leadership. The focus is on developing credible, true, authentic leaders based on the word of truth, based on the word of God. We bring a biblical, perspective to the subject of leadership. There can be a stronger foundation upon which to build leadership other than, biblical truth. And so we've been speaking today on asking to lead. And I'm asking you, I'm challenging you, I'm encouraging you, I'm drawing your attention to something you may not have done before, is to ask to lead your people. In which case, ask your people to follow you. So when Jesus was saying, follow me and I will make you, he was asking to lead. It was, see, give me the opportunity to lead you. Give me the opportunity to lead you. And that statement, as simple as it is consistent with the principle that we've been talking about. If any man lacks, let him what? Ask. At that point, he needed to have followers. He began to build a team. Without a team, who is a leader? You are not a leader. And somebody says, if you are a leader and you don't have followers, then you are just taking a walk. Because leaders, by the very most basic definition, means that somebody is following. At least one person should be following. So if you lack that one person, which Jesus didn't have at that time, all right, you ask. And that's precisely what he did. And because he knew that principle, that if you ask, you will receive, is it any surprise that for the most part, the people responded? I'd like to draw your attention to something in that statement, because that statement is simple: follow me and I will make you, all right, fishers of men. In that statement, he asked and he provided justification, all right? And that's something you have to pay attention to. When you ask people to follow you, why should they follow you? You must provide a justification. To follow you to where? Where are we going to? I was in a class recently and I was challenging them, saying, who among you as leaders has sat down with your people before to have a discussion on the destination that you are taking them to? It's interesting that, leaders want people to follow that. And they get agitated, they get disappointment, some get turned off when they are not securing the commitment of their people, the strong commitment of their people, which they come to understand that they need. When in fact, they have never addressed consciously, formally, pointedly, the what's in it question for their followers. And by all means, if I ask you to follow me, when you are not done, when you have your own interests, wouldn't you want me to answer the question, what's in it for me? The what's in it for me question is a crucial question in the minds of the follower. And Jesus said, I'm not just asking you to follow me. I'm going to make you into something. So you can begin to really think about whether or not my offer is attractive. But that's something else, and I don't want to deal with that today, but I thought to draw, attention to that. Someday I'm going to deal with that and deal with that quite explicitly. But for today, that's, I'm just calling attention to leaders that you need to ask. Don't assume away that the people will follow you. This is such a crucial aspect of leadership. It's important that followers submit to you. It's important that followers submit to you, otherwise you make a mess of your leadership. You get frustrated. And imagine the leader asking. Of course, the people know you have authority. Of course, the people know that you can command them to do things and they probably will do it. All right? Maybe, of course, without their full commitment, but they will do it. They are obliged to do it because, they are people under authority. But that's not what you want. But now, if you are asking, what do you think that does to the people who know all right, that they should follow you. One, it tells them that they're important. Two, it tells them that to your agenda they are relevant. They're not just statistics. There's a third aspect which is very important, and that's a right that everyone appreciates. It tells them that they have it. Recognize that. Because he said, look, I have placed before you life and death. And it tells you which one to choose, by the way. But the choice remains yours. The choice remains yours. And it's great that we have a choice. We appreciate that. All of us want that. Freedom to make our own choices is one of the most fundamental needs that we have as human beings. All right? That we are not boxed into a corner. And those are some of the reasons why people rebel. So imagine, asking, this is what it does to your people. This is what it does. And it tends to be appreciated. That's why more times than not, the people followed, they obliged, and they committed to following Jesus, and they never looked back. Even the one who betrayed didn't look back until the last minute. Met Levi, at his work, was busy collecting taxes. He said, follow me. And he stood. He met Philip at some point. He said, follow me. All right? He asked to lead. He asked to lead. He asked to lead. If you could do that, what's your excuse? If you could do that, what's your excuse? You know what Paul did? The mighty Paul, who had the likes of Timothy as proteges, who developed Timothy into a credible leader. Paul wrote to Timothy once, he said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. Imitate me, or if you like, follow me as I follow Christ. So you see again, Paul, that he asked. If he didn't ask at the beginning, at some point in the journey, he asked. So in case you haven't asked till now, you have the opportunity to correct that now. You have the opportunity to correct that now. Let me draw your attention to something else about this asking privilege. I call it, the principle gives us the privilege, and it's a privilege that we need to guard jealously. All right? And you see, the privilege to ask is a powerful privilege. It's a powerful privilege. And if you ask as a leader, it takes humility. All right? And people are drawn to those who come across as being humble. It takes humility for a leader to say, follow me. It takes humility for Jesus to say, follow me. Did he have to say that? Well, he wasn't going to take things for granted. He wasn't going to assume. He needed the people to make a conscious decision to follow him. He said, whoever wants to serve me, has to take up his cross and follow me. You must do it as a deliberate thing, because I'm going to settle for nothing less than your strong commitment. So you have an opportunity to decide, and I'm not forcing you. At a point in his journey, You know, he was telling some people the truth. And they said, wait a minute, I mean, you know, this is too hard. Who can bear this? You know, and he asked that, does the truth offend you? If the truth offend you, gentlemen, you can leave. One of my favorite statements is this: leadership is mandatory. It's an obligation on the part of the leader. But on the part of the follower, it is optional. It is optional. Nobody is obliged to follow you. None. Each one must take his own decision. And why is that? Because when you commit to a leader, you must totally submit. It's like handing your life, the destiny, your future to the leader to shape it as he or she wishes. That's not a decision you take lightly. That's not a decision any leader should expect, all right, to be taken by a follower without a discussion. I mean, if I commit to you, I'm giving you a license to influence my life as you want. I'm assuming that you have the best of my interest at heart. And you don't want us to have a discussion. And you don't think that it's necessary for you to ask. Well, I think those are the things behind this privilege, all right, that Jesus showed us. Leadership is mandatory. Is the performance of your obligations as a leader is mandatory. It's not subject to discussion. It's not conditional. In fact, even if people are following you and they are not committed, it shouldn't stop you from doing your best for them to fulfill your leadership mandate. But as far as they are concerned, following you, committing to you strongly is optional. They have to take that decision. You have no decision to take as to whether or not you lead once you are in that role. But they have a decision to take as to whether or not to commit to you. All right? Once they find themselves to be under your umbrella. Let me very quickly draw your attention to two things that you need to be mindful about in executing or in activating this asking privilege. And you find that also in James, and I think it's in chapter 4, and it says, you ask not, and so you don't receive. So one of the reasons that you have not secured strong commitment from your people is that you haven't asked them. You haven't had a discussion on it. You have not made it formal. Follow me. I need your cooperation. This is where I'm taking you to. This is what's in it for me. Secondly, it says you ask and you still don't receive because you ask amiss so that you can fulfill your lust. That means that when you are asking them to follow, it is not to serve your private, selfish agenda. That's not the right motivation for leadership. It must be to serve a more noble agenda. And the agenda of a true leader is the development, is the value addition, all right, to the follower. So you want the people to respond. Be put on notice that you have to demonstrate to them that you have their interest at heart. That the reason that you're asking for their commitment is so that you could pursue their interests and deliver what is the true mandate of the leader. I need to stop here for today. This is something that, we can keep talking about. And by the way, for those who may be interested I'm going to be dealing with this more in more elaborate terms at the what I call the Ask to Win Challenge. It's a 5 days, challenge where I would be unveiling, taking you through the concept, how to use it, what are the pitfalls, how you are undermining yourself, not just in the area of leadership, but in your personal work by not, taking advantage of it. The blank check is there. It's for everyone. All right. Some are taking advantage of it, but the majority are not. They have even since forgotten that that provision exists. All right. But it's one thing to take notice that the provision exists and that it applies to you, but it's another thing to know how to use it effectively. And that's what we'll be dealing with, in the Ask to Win Challenge. You can see the link there if you're interested, or check the link in the description, and check it out. If it's something that you believe will add value to you, why not? It will be a pleasure to have you, attend the challenge. All right, so that's it for today. Ask to lead. It's not a weakness on the part of leaders, it's a strength. Humility is involved. Humility is not weakness, even though it may appear to be, but it is the stuff of leaders who are strong, leaders who have strong character, leaders who know what leadership is about, leaders who get results. All right, if you are joining us for the first time or you are yet to subscribe to my channel, and so you would be notified, every time Leadership in 30 Minutes is about to hold. And this, series holds every Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11:30 West African time on Thursdays. Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11:30 West African time. My name is Olatun Shobodu. I'll be leading, the leadership in 30 minutes on some aspect of leadership. The focus is to build your competence, in that all important area. And I look forward to seeing you once again. Don't forget, subscribe. And also, I'd like your feedback. So please put your feedback in the comment area and let's hear from you. And perhaps you want me to speak on any particular area, feel free. We'll see how to accommodate that in the plan. Usually, what I'm speaking about over the course of the next 3-4 sessions are already out there, but we can always schedule once, we get a feedback from you. Again, my name is Olatunji Shobodu, and it's been Leadership in 30 Minutes. Thank you for joining me today. God bless you, and have a wonderful, week and weekend, as the case may be. Bye-bye.